Sherry, go back to your seat.
Sorry.
First item of business is public comment. If anybody has any comments, please come to the podium, state your name and address, limit your comments to 3 minutes. Address your comments to the board and not to the audience. Is there anybody that would like to take it? Sherry?
See, I was up, Bugby. This is where I put my public comment.
This is my public comment. So I would like to propose that town groups, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Kids Club, church events, I don't care anybody, be able to have those items put into the e-crier, Lee-crier. I know that a number of years ago that was taken out by, not sure how exactly it went down. I have talked to Mr. McCourse about that in a Zoom session once, but other than that, I'd love to see that happen. Is there anything else?
Does anyone have any questions?
Well, the only thing, as I remember it, it was the religious implications of that in terms of the church stuff. The other stuff, I would think should be okay.
So my response to that would be, so the religious aspects of the fact that the school can use the right of way to pick up the children every day, 5 days a week. Do they feel a religious need to use that parking lot?
As far as I remember, it's if we do it for the congregational church, we have to do it for every
Of
single
course,
religious.
of course. I mean, you want to have any, why not?
Right.
Well, I don't, heck, I don't, that's just my opinion.
Maybe we can have Andy check with the municipal association and find out,
Yeah.
because I know.
Because I gotta tell you, Nottingham has no problem with it, Farmington has no
Yeah.
problem with it. These are all, of
Durham does it too.
course they do,
As long as we're equally
Yes,
accessible to everyone, then
that's
that
the
makes
thing.
total sense.
But that's just where I would really like to see that. If need be, I'll come back and talk about it again.
Could we vote on it pending the legal information, or do you want to wait
Well,
until?
let's wait and see what he has to say.
What do you think, Mr. Robertson? What's your thoughts? In your former town administrator position.
I think with regard to scouting and 4-H and that type of thing, auxiliary clubs, absolutely. I'm not sure if they're going to caution with regard to church listings or not.
And all we would be asking for with the church would be, like, when church is. When I'm running my kids' club, which has more Catholics than anybody else, most of the time. Those kids love dirt. So, anyway, that's all.
The church is open to everyone, and it's not a membership.
Oh my God,
only.
we can't, where else can you find a good AA meeting but at the church, I mean, these are important things that people should know about, in my humble opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Nope. Let's go on to item number 3, new business, select board organization. Let's go with A, elect a new chairperson.
Can we first welcome Rebecca to the?
Oh, I already did, but.
Oh, okay. Officially?
No,
Oh,
personally. So, yes, we can. Go ahead if you want to.
Welcome, Rebecca. Welcome to
Well,
the
thank
select
you.
board.
Yes.
Very excited. I appreciate the town people's confidence. So,
Happy to have you.
thank you.
Elect a new.
Do we want to also say thank you to Gary Brown for his?
Oh, I would have that later on, but if you want to do it now.
I didn't know what you had on the list.
No, you can do it now if you want to.
No, that's fine. We can elect a new chair.
I have that done under number 5. I think we should do something for him to acknowledge his years of service and things like that. Elect chair.
Do we put someone up to nominate?
You can do whatever you want.
Is there official?
No, you can just nominate
Make
somebody.
a motion to elect the chair. Is that the motion I'm making? All right.
Or you can nominate somebody.
Typically, you nominate somebody.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to nominate Scott Bugby for the position of chair.
Any other nominations? Nobody else is game. Okay. So we'll close nominations and we'll have a vote.
There is a way that we normally do this, and so.
Yeah, there
yes,
is,
you are
but
the
you
correct
don't
person.
have to.
No, we don't, that's true.
So-
You're the next in line.
Oh, next in line, and then I get killed off, and then it's all right. So I've been nominated. Do we have a vote? So we won't do roll call. So All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain. Thank you very much.
Should we look
Make
for
or
vice
break
chair?
a tie.
Should we look for vice chair at the same time?
Oh yeah, that's right, you want to do that, so.
I think it would be good organizationally if you had a vice chair when members are absent.
So, any nominations for vice chair?
Well, I think we should nominate Katrin for vice chair.
Oh, I like that. Any other nominations? No. All those in favor of Katrin being the vice chair, say aye.
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 You can abstain.
Did you
I will
vote?
abstain, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Motion passes. Welcome, Ms. Vice Chair, Mrs. Vice Chair, Ms. Chairperson. All right.
But I'm happy to keep my name tag. I don't want to keep replacing name tags. I think that's fine.
Ooh,
We'll
that's true.
save the town a few bucks. We'll appreciate that.
Or you could get two of them, you know, one that has the name and then a little
Sneak it
spot
over.
underneath with the, I don't know if they'd have those, but.
I'm just trying to be fiscally conservative in this town, not
That's
wasting
fine.
money, taxpayers'
That's fine.
money, thank you.
3B, liaison assignments to boards, committees, and commissions. This is what is actually there at the moment, so I don't know if we want to switch or add.
Yes, I think we should definitely look at lists to find good fits. I know when I came on, I wasn't offered options, I was just sort of, which is fine, but
Yep.
is there anything that Rebecca is interested in? And also, do all of the commissions need us to be there regularly, or some of them more excited to come and speak with us here?
Well,
In zoning,
Have to, yeah.
yeah,
you should consider
So-
being there.
let's just, I'm not sure how familiar you are, but the Conservation Commission Conservation Commission meets monthly, about 2 hours to vote. Energy Committee, Katrina, you're on that, or we're on that. How many-
The Energy Committee, I was not on, but I would like to be on.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't
Oh, was that
it wasn't
Carrie's?
running when I started. It-
So I'm not sure how long or how often they meet.
That's fine.
Okay. Heritage Commission meets monthly and an hour and a half, 2 hours, just to give you an idea. Lamprey Solid Waste Committee, they have 1, 2, 3 meetings usually, Steve? There's like,
Three or four, depending.
yeah, and they're,
Do we need a select person on that, since we have so many representatives from the
no,
town?
it doesn't, it just has to be somebody that lives in Lee,
Okay.
so. So that's a not very big commitment. Planning Board depends, right, Karen?
It meets at least once a month.
Once a month. And depends in terms of time, what's on the agenda.
I would
so.
say typically plan for 3 hours.
Okay. Rec Commission, Katrina?
That's once a month, and then volunteer work.
How long does it last?
Just like an hour, it's a really
An hour?
nice
Okay.
and neat.
Sustainability?
That is once a month, and that is normally a few hours.
Okay. Zoning Board? That's also the same.
No.
I have a select person on the zoning board.
Oh, it says no. All right.
I'm easy. So, I mean, Katrin's interested in the energy commission, is that what you just said?
Yeah, I'm happy for anyone to do it, I just think it's important that we put somebody on there. We haven't had anybody because it wasn't up and running.
So do you want to do them?
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm happy to join the planning board, that's the whole there. Do you have something you want to get rid of or prefer? From your
Can I get rid
list?
of all of them?
No,
No. Very helpful.
sorry.
All right.
Rebecca, are you interested in the rec commission, and are you used to work on the PTO? An option,
That's fine, happy to do that.
is that something you would like to do? Great,
Yeah, that's fine, I can do that.
Okay.
and then what will I pick up? I got energy, what else do I pick up?
Right, we've got energy and sustainability, unless you'd like to not be on that.
Is there anyone that would like to be on sustainability?
Not, that would not be my first choice.
Okay,
All right, and I don't have the list here, so let's do these. And then we're gonna hopefully form some committees, so maybe that's where I will. Great.
You want to stay with that or?
Yeah, and I think it's important that committees know that if they would, like to discuss having a different person as their rep, that that's an option as well.
Okay.
We're open to that. We will take it personally, but we'll get over it really quickly.
Okay, so the slate, I will stay on the Conservation Commission. Katrina, you're gonna do the Energy Committee.
Yep.
I will stay on the Heritage Commission, and I will stay on the Lamprey Solid Waste. Rebecca's gonna take the Planning Board. Rebecca will take the Rec Commission. Katrina will take Sustainability, and that's it.
Do you have a board-appointed member to the Budget Committee, or, I know you ran for the office too, Scott, but do you have an additional,
Then it becomes a Select Board meeting.
you know,
So I kind of fill two shoes, but only one vote. So
okay,
and I usually don't vote, usually.
all right.
Try not to. I try not to influence them, however. I give them information, but I try not to sway them one way or the other. All set? Item number 3C, establish goals and objectives. Town center,
Yeah,
that's a
so
big thing.
we had a whole meeting about this last time, so I think it's important that we, give it some breathing room, but absolutely town center. Are you just looking for the list right now? to throw
Well,
out there?
I think if we can ask the board to, maybe for the next time, think about what you want to accomplish for the
Yeah.
board, or what the board wants to accomplish.
And do we ever give goals and objectives to the committees? I know they come to us with ideas. Do we ever have things that are part, like, if we make our goals and objectives, can we say, as part of this? Like, let's, for example, if one of our goals and objectives is to get solar, and we then say to the Energy Committee, we'd like you to focus on that. Is that an
Yeah.
option?
We push those down. Just like the other thing is, one of the things that Mr. Brown had is in terms of looking at the master plan and seeing what those particular committees and commissions need to accomplish for those particular goals, and also providing them resources to accomplish those goals.
Mhm.
So that would be something that we should do. So if all three of us can come next time with goals and objectives that you'd like to accomplish, or the board would like to accomplish. But we'll definitely put town center on there. Anything else? Miscellaneous for new business? Anything else? The only other thing-
Committees later, sorry.
I'm-
Is the housing committee on there later in the?
I do not have a bullet item.
All right, I would like to propose that we add a housing committee. A housing committee to talk about workforce housing and housing options. I'd like to propose that we work with Nick Taylor, who is the head of housing, I'm forgetting the name of it, for the Seacoast. And it'd be great if we could have one zoning member, one planning board member, 2 members from the public. We'd love to have Karen Rossi as our senior advisor, and 1 select board member. And it would be wonderful if it could be during the day. We have so many evening meetings, so I'd like to propose that it's the 3rd Monday at noon of every month. And that would be to look at our zoning regulations, our rules, make sure that they are making the most sense for the residents, and that we're looking into things as they change. A lot of our zoning regulations are from the 1950s and 60s and 70s, just to update them.
You mentioned the select board person. Is that what you're interested in doing?
I would be interested in doing that if that's an option, but if somebody else is interested, I'm open to that too.
Sounds like you're elected. So the 3rd Monday of every month?
The 3rd Monday at noon.
Okay.
Do you have that one screen?
The workforce housing.
I have a professional name. Apologize. Housing committee, I think it's.
Just housing committee?
Yeah, I don't know. How about this, can we meet and then figure out the appropriate name?
Sure. Well, you need to charge too, so that's one.
I've got your notes from the email you initially sent me that I can put together a charge for and send to you.
Perfect. And then we can decide. at the
review
next-
and bring it to the board. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay,
So
sounds
it gives
good.
you guys time to think about it.
Good. The other thing, unless somebody has other miscellaneous, I wanted to bring up something. Can we do something to acknowledge Mr. Brown's service? Because he was a chair for, select person for 6 years. He was chair for 2 of those years, so
Did we acknowledge Mr. LaCourse's?
I don't think we did. We were bad. So,
Have we acknowledged anybody? Well, I
Do
don't
we
know who was
normally do?
here before, of course, or was it you guys before that too? Trying to remember.
that was so long.
Barney,
What do you
Yeah.
mean by acknowledge?
I don't know, something we can talk about in terms of just a thank you. Just because we didn't do it before doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing it, so.
No, I was just curious if anything had been done in the past.
It was coach.
I don't remember.
I mean, John was on for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was a long reign, and we just
Oh.
said, thank you for your service. And so I'm happy to sign cards, or what did you want to do?
very least, if I could put together a letter, an official letter that you could sign,
Could you make up one of those little certificate things?
Yep.
And maybe we can do one for other people too. It doesn't mean you can't do it for like Mr. Barney and those people that are still around.
Have an honor this excellent skills.
I don't know, it's just, yeah, I think it would be nice. Maybe it's something, this is a new tradition or something like that.
I love a new tradition.
But I think the work that people put in,
A lot of hours.
so it'd just be nice to say, hey, thank you very much for all your service. So, just a thought.
It's a great idea.
Oh, Mr. Chapman.
John Tapman, 187 Stepping Stones Road. I think that I just saw the board decide to create a new committee for a particular purpose without any actual discussion of whether or not they should have that committee for that purpose and no vote on it. And the assignment was given to the town administrator to draw up a charge, and next meeting, you're going to discuss the charge. There was no mention of actually discussing, is this a committee that the board as a group wants to form?
I think I discussed that we haven't had an update in zoning in a while. That was one of the reasons that it was important, and also to deal with the housing challenges in our community.
This is strictly a point of order. I'm not questioning the validity or the value of the committee. It was just that it looked from back there, it looked to me like one board member presented something and it was going to go ahead, at least to the point of creating a charge, without any discussion of the board as a group deciding whether or not that was something they wanted to do.
It was like by kind of almost unanimous consent. I think that's what it was. Because I think when we get, I don't want to create the committee until I see the charge. So that's what we asked the town administrator to do. So I think,
And then we'll decide to officially discuss.
at least 2 of us, I'm not going to speak for Rebecca, but I think we're in favor of moving forward with it. So no vote, but. All right. So if we can, what do we think about certificates for people? Are we all set with that?
Yes.
So if we can do some for the people that are still around.
Okay.
You want to
Because you got-
proactively thank everyone that's still here?
Well,
Makes sense?
because you've got Dwight Barney, you've got Carol Dennis, you've got Dave Cedarholm, you've got Carrie Brown, you've got John LaCourse. What's am I missing? Maybe you can put down in terms of the years of service or something. And for the most recent one, he just came off the board, but the other people, like, we should have done this before, now we're presenting this to you now for thanking for your service. I think it's something that we should be doing.
Do you want to invite them? How are they going to get thanked?
I don't know, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. We can invite them. One of them won't be able to attend, I don't think, but the other ones, they might. Just think it would be nice.
Great.
Buy cupcakes to entice them.
You're gonna give them cupcakes?
We'll get cupcakes to entice them.
It's got really
Oh,
good
so
cereal
free
wraps.
food, free food. All
You
right.
bake cupcakes, not cookies.
Okay.
Oh, yes, your cupcakes, nice.
Cupcakes never took me
If
away.
anybody ever gets a chance to have any of Rebecca's cupcakes, take the opportunity. All right, anything else with 3? No. 4, appointments. Mr. Thornton.
Martin Thornton from Granger Drive, and here to talk about the Maud Jones Memorial Forest. We had a presentation that was linked to the minutes. So we've seen in the last couple of years a lot of people recreating locally here. So we've seen a lot of uptick in the use of the recreational trails in the town forest, in the Maud Jones Memorial Forest, and down Little River Park. And we have the Trails Committee now that we're trying to improve the bridges, improve the trails in the areas. And one of the things up in the Maud Jones Memorial Forest area, there are 2 trails right now. There's the main loop, which is the Kettle Hole Loop, and then there's the Esker Trail that goes towards Captain Parker. Both of them take advantage of the natural features, glacial features in that forest. What we'd like to propose tonight is that we open up a loop off of the Kettle Hole Trail that will go into the upper part, the northern part of the forest, taking in the glacial erotic that is out there in the forest, and also the demonstration forestry areas that have been cut over the years, and use those as educational points for people to be able to see another feature of what is available in the town. Within the presentation, there is a rough map that shows the loop that goes around in there. We'll follow a little road trail that one of the local residents uses to come up into there. I want to put a bridge in, which will be about 2 feet up above the water. But there's a nice little waterfall there, nice stream crossing. And then by coming up above it, we'll stay out of any wetland area around the edge of the marsh. We'll cut down along the trail that goes to the private residence and cut well before we ever get near their property along a natural ridge in there. Place a sign at that point saying this is the end of the conservation land, and that you're to go the other way. We'll cut up and around the northern side of the forest over to Glacial Rock, have a little QR code there, an explanation of how glacial rocks get in the middle of nowhere. And it's about 45-ton rock that's just sitting there. Then we'll cut back down through the demonstration forestry areas that have been cut in there, explaining how the wildlife re-habits into the forest, how the forest regrows itself through these cuts. Come back down along the stream up on the upper bankment and back to the bridge where we started out from and come back across. So it'll make a nice little half-mile addition to the Kettle Hole Loop that's right there. We estimate the bridge going across will be built to U.S. forestry standards. It'll be about $635, and then it'll be about $50 for signage to direct people around the loop, and also to for the end of the conservation land area. And so that's what I'm asking for permission tonight, that we can proceed to it. We have not flagged the trail yet because we don't want people out in there until we have a bridge. So the first thing would be to get the bridge built, which the Conservation Commission has put money in. We've also put in for grants for that. And then once we get the bridge squared away, then we can open up the trail and blaze it for the people to use. And there are a couple of steps there. We're checking with New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, make sure we don't need a permit, that we're well enough above the stream level. We'll send out a notice to the butters letting them know we're going to open up the trail and have a time period when if people want to walk and see what we're proposing, they can, so they'll be abreast to it. We've already done one walk with some of the Conservation Commission people. So we're trying to take the proper steps to work this through.
Excellent.
Any questions?
I love the Maud Jones trail. It's been incredibly well done, and the only complaint I had was it was a little too short, so I'm really excited that it's going to be lengthened. The number of things you can see on that trail are exceptional. It's quite a gift to the town, so thank you.
I guess I have a question about your tests and the order. So can I assume that the abutters will have time to object before we start building and spending money?
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess my other question is about parking. So if we open up a new trail and we are
So
inviting more
we-
people,
Yeah, last year, we went up with Steve and looked over the parking situation. So we have an area flagged out there that will eventually get opened up to, what was it, 6 cars out there, Steve?
Yeah, hopefully in another couple of weeks we'll start that.
Yeah, so we're gonna take the kiosk, we're gonna move it back in off the
It's
road
snowed out.
and take out just a couple of small trees, and then we'll have a off-road parking area there that'll accommodate 6 cars. Because parking has been a problem up in the forest, so that was something that we addressed last fall.
if you put in this new trail and it's inviting more people, will 6 spaces be enough?
It should be, yeah. You know, most of the times I've been up there, there's only been 1 or 2 cars, so we're really not, I don't think we're gonna see a big surge of more people coming in there, but just opening up more area so you get a little bit longer walk out through the woods. Right now, it's about 0.8 of a mile loop, so this would give you about a 1.3 mile loop that you could then take.
Chief, you have a question?
No, just a comment that we've not had a parking issue there.
Okay. That was my only concern, I just don't want some
Yep.
influx of people with a new trail.
And anytime they've planned something there, they've always been good in calling us so we can accommodate the parking.
We had looked at a parking area, just for your background, we looked at a parking area off 155 Turtle Road, and there's a landing there what they've used for the logging operations, but the highway department for the state didn't like the sight lines to that location. They said if you wanted something, you had to put it down further on the road, but that's down in the swampy area that drops about 6-8 feet off the road. So getting another parking area on the other side of the forest is out of the question. It's just not practical over there. So what we're trying to do is best utilize the Garrity Road entrance, improve the parking there, make more spaces, and add that extra loop in to improve the educational capabilities. Good questions.
Any other questions?
And we're not, I assume that with your signage, we're not concerned about people going into people's backyards, because it looks like this is very close to people's homes.
We're trying to
Yeah.
utilize the natural terrain, so where we're gonna turn on the ridge, you can't see any houses from there.
Okay.
There is one point where you come up the hill a little ways, where you can see to the back of the houses, there's a good buffer, especially in the summer times with the leaves in. Not so much in the winter time, because everything's open. But then we drop down below a slight ridge in one of the cutover areas, so that you're actually walking down below the ridge a little bit, and that'll help shield people from homes. And where we cut back down through the other forestry cut, is well back from the highway, so that you don't get the noise off the highway either.
And people have been respectful of your markings of trails and not going into houses and backyards and other areas?
Right, yeah. You're probably 500, 600 feet
Okay.
from the back of the property lines where the trail will go.
No, I have no other questions.
And you're welcome if you want to, we can take you out for a walk through there. There's nothing flagged out there because we don't want people out there meandering around until we have a bridge, but that's part of what we want to do, the educational part here of getting people out there and seeing what's out there to see, and that we are taking in considerations as to where the path is. And we did walk with Don Quigley in the forest there. He lives right across from where the town landing is there, or the cutting landing is. So this kind of follows a route that he felt was acceptable to the neighbors, although we haven't talked to the neighbors yet, so. We're not looking at putting the bridge in probably till around June, July time period when things dry up. So we've got still quite a bit of time that we can step through and get public opinion on it.
Should we be looking at scheduling that sometime during a select board meeting, that if people needed to come and voice a first opinion, they could do that?
Yep.
Before we spend any money.
Any other questions? Mr. Thurman?
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
No, I love the idea of being able to see this, what did you call it? A glacier erratic?
Yep.
Big boulder.
Big boulder, big rock in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So I move to approve the construction of a new trail in the Mont Jones Memorial Forest that will include the installation of a new bridge costing $700. That cost to come from the Conservation Commission operating budget. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Can I ask Deb a question? Can you give us a little update in terms of the other bridges that are in town forests and stuff? What's the status on all those? Are they all done?
No, no. It'll be a long time before they're all done. We've done,
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
oh,
All right.
you might have
Do you want me to
to.
back you up?
I'm
What?
gonna keep it.
Do you want me to back you up with?
Yeah. You're my bridge guy. We've done 3.5.
So we've got 3 bridges we've completed. There's one that we did a temporary repair on last December that we'll be going back, and we have to wait till probably the June time period because it needs to dry up. It's a real mushy area. That's the 24-foot bridge we're going across there. There are, between Little River Park, Maud Jones, and the town force, there are about 13, 14 bridges total that will need to be fixed. Our DES permit for the town force is good for 5 years. So we're going to try to stagger them through the next few years to replace the worst ones, although we think one's good and then the beam breaks on them because it was just hemlock and they're all getting about the same age. So we're working through them, building up the bridges to the US forestry standards and making the bulkheads and that sort of stuff so they'll last a little bit longer. We've looked at using power poles and hemlock and different things like that. Power poles are treated with penta, which is a problem in wetlands areas. So we're sticking with the commercial pressure-treated lumber to build these with, which is a copper-based preservative and is approved by the Environmental Services of New Hampshire for this sort of application. So we'll probably do another 4 or 5 bridges unless we get a bunch
At
of
the
grant
town
money.
first, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the town forest, and then we have this one at Maud Jones, and we have one down at Little River, two
Two
at
at
Little River Park that we'll try to get done this year.
Are we gonna be able to make a Little River into a loop, or is it still gonna be out and back?
Right now it's an out and back.
Okay,
Yeah, people keep asking.
I'll
and
hold
if-
out hope.
If you can find a
special way to do that,
make
yeah.
it a loop,
Yeah.
we would be glad to do that. We have not been able to find a way. So, but, yeah,
The-
you're welcome to
Yeah.
look around.
The reason for my asking is when you guys came the last time, they were in like a sad state. So
They
they were
were
like a liability.
Dangerous, yeah.
So do we have any more like that?
No,
So, okay, so this is just a regular maintenance in
Yeah.
terms of, okay, all right.
yeah, the ones that we got permission for you to build and that you gave us money from ARPA, those were the worst ones.
Okay.
So, and we've been keeping track of them all winter. My teams go out and take pictures of them, and so we have really good data on what happens to the bridges in the wintertime and in the spring too, so.
Well, extend my thanks to your committee. I know they're very, very active and they're very,
Yeah,
very
they are.
enthused.
Yeah,
So thank them. Pass on the thanks,
I will.
I believe, from the
Yeah,
select board.
Yes,
So
please.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Oh, yeah, they're doing a great job.
Thanks.
I just cheered them on.
Next in appointments is Karen Rossi.
Hello, so back in the spring of 20, when the swap shop was closed during the pandemic, the town started facilitating a townwide yard sale. Well, that was a big hit. And then we did it twice last year. And there's been a request to do it again this year. So in the past, we paid Stratford Regional Planning Commission to do a map. But last year, the price was a lot more than we had budgeted, or I had budgeted for, because I paid for it out of my budget. So I just took a street map and drew, and they seemed to work fine. And then Cord Bloomquist does it on,
Google Maps.
yes, thank you, stop by stop. So there's no cost to the town, so I'm just here to request permission to do it again. It could be sometime in May. No cost to the town.
That's great. It's a wonderful way to reduce, that's awesome.
What date?
I haven't picked a date. It would be, the suggestion was mid-May. So,
Andy?
Yeah, just, I don't know what process you follow. I know I'm familiar with the town yard a town-wide yard sale where we charge a nominal amount for the map and do it as a fundraiser for different groups around town. And I know in Deerfield, a town about the same size as Lee, that typically has produced better than $2,000 a whack for whichever event is holding it. So if you haven't considered that, you might want to do it for Parks and Rec or something. You don't have to charge a lot, but if you charge $4 or $5 for the map and put the word out.
$4 to $5 to be on the map?
They charge an amount to be on the map, and then they charge for the map too. Which may be double overkill, but it's a very popular program, and people
Right.
don't mind paying for it, particularly if it's for a good cause, like Parks and
Sure.
Rec or
Yeah,
Boy Scouts or whatever you might.
yeah, that's an option.
Well, why don't you contact Parks and Rec and see if they're interested?
Okay. We're happy to
Since you're-
support it either way, right?
Excuse me?
We would be happy to support it either way.
Yeah, I guess so, sure. I'm a little bit hesitant about the price thing, so.
I think my only concern is it's been free
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
like 3 yard
Yeah,
sales,
yeah.
and so like we going kind of backwards, but
So
That'd be
if
great.
we could do this one free, and then the fall, just because time is of the essence of,
Yeah, yeah.
full disclosure, I'm not a yard seller, but what I've been told is you wanna do it before summer. And now it's
Mhm.
end of March.
Sounds like it.
So we'll do this one for free and then see if there's an organization that wants to do it in the fall.
It's a great idea.
Sounds good.
Is that
You can
okay?
even have people
Sounds good.
set up lemonade stands or whatever they want to add to it, and you can really make it a fundraising event for the
They can
town.
do, sell anything they want.
Really make it a fun.
Well, not
Not
anything.
anyone.
Anything legally. Sorry, chief.
Perfect.
Great, thank you.
Go for
thank
it.
you.
Chief Nemeth?
Don't be loud. Good evening. So I'm coming to the board, as you might have seen tonight. The highway department is doing an awesome job building out the bunk rooms. We're definitely getting there, the walls are up, sheetrock's up. Mudding started, a lot of the doors are up. I've been working with Steve to go over how much we've spent so far and what we think we're gonna spend. Because the reason why I'm here tonight is to ask the board for approval to buy a station alerting system. Currently, we do have a radio system downstairs with speakers that scans a bunch of the channels that we listen to, Seacoast, Durham Fire, our channel, obviously. And what this will entail to add to the system is we'll put speakers up here in this hallway, which will have a volume control that we can turn it down so it doesn't bother meetings. In the old bunk room, the 2 locker rooms, the gym, and then more importantly, the bunk rooms. Each will have their own speaker in their bunk room, and then when the tones go off, it'll activate the system and a red light will turn on. So it's just not a bright light. There's been a lot of studies done with the tone itself and then with the bright lights kicking on, and you know, the sleep schedule for firefighters is crazy, and then it actually, when they do the studies that people have had cardiac issues because of the sleep habits and stuff. So it's something that they started doing was with the red lights. So we're looking at that system. The quote that I did give the board last week was for $9,100. But in speaking with them, 2A reached out to me on Friday and actually said that the system wouldn't scan. So what it would have to be is just on our channel. And currently the radio does scan, so we can hear, like you said, Durham, Seacoast, what's going on around us. And it does help, you know, if we hear Durham going off for a fire, then we can jump in the truck and get going in their direction. We don't use lights and sirens because there's liability, we weren't requested yet. But we can get prepared, you know, if we're eating or somebody's working out or whatever, it gives us kind of that heads up. So I'd really like to do the scanning capability. So the new cost with that scanning is $10,857.62.
Do that again?
$10,857.62.
Just, if I could throw in a note, that's well over the spending guidelines for straight purchase, so I don't know if 2A is the only availability you have, Chief, or?
So 2A is the communication company that we use. There is another one, Ospey Mountain, that we haven't used in, I don't know, 15 years maybe.
To switch them, that would cost more because you're having to switch the whole system over, is that correct?
No,
No, you're just,
no, they both sell Motorola, but Two Ways in Newington, we use them for everything. We have the preventative maintenance agreement with them for all of our radios that we currently have, that they come in and inspect them annually.
I think it makes good sense to use two-way, but you do have a policy
right.
looking for bids and/or quotes.
Can we also talk, how much is left in the ARPA funds from this last year?
I don't know how much is left overall. I believe we set aside $30,000 for the bunk room project, and to date, I don't believe that has eclipsed $10,000 in expense. I looked at the
Really?
figure today.
So,
I mean,
oh,
I
please,
think there's more expenses to come, yeah.
There are some, but it was nowhere near
Right,
the original estimate.
So
She with all the numbers.
this is the list that me and Steve have made up. Quite a few things have already been paid for. And we have an invoice for. The ones that we're waiting for still is the compressor for the AC. And we gotta buy the bedroom doors, and then we'll buy some paint, maybe mud.
No, no more mud, just paint the doors.
So this spreadsheet that I gave you has the station learning system in it for the $10,000, and that puts us at 26,000.
Oh, great.
which is less than the 30 that we gave you already.
That's perfect, so it's not even, yeah, that's great.
Any questions for the chief?
Are we gonna include light blocking curtains in this too? Is that
No.
where that come from? All right.
No questions for the chief?
Make a motion?
So yeah, we'll make a motion for the thing, and you'll just take it out of money you already have, I guess. So, I move to approve the purchase and installation of station living capabilities to the second floor of the fire department by two-way communications. Said funds to come from ARPA funding.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a second?
Do you want a second?
Sure, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, regular business, town administrator's report.
Yeah, not too much tonight, but you did receive some material in the documents for the Flags for Life. We've had a request to fly these flags in April as part of the National Donate Life Month program. Assume this should come before the board before we gave the okay. I believe Denise included a couple of pictures of what the flag looks like, but if the board is agreeable, we'd move forward with this.
So we take down the MIAPLW flag just
Well-
for a month, or what would we do?
Just like last year.
Yeah, which, yeah, I remember.
That's the other question I was gonna have. Didn't we do this last
Yes,
year?
you did.
We did.
All right.
We just
I'm
have to
okay
reach
with
out to,
Bill Stevens.
no, the VFW
To let them know.
commander, who is now
Scarborough.
Scarborough.
Scott Burrow, oh, yeah, good.
And Bill will,
And Bill
handle
coordinates,
the
yeah,
raising and
Bill
lowering.
coordinates all the time, yeah.
Sounds fine to me.
Me too.
Are you,
Yeah,
no problem. all right, board's okay with it?
Okay. Do you have this in the signature? I will just send it to me.
Nothing's
We have a request to use the pavilion by the Girl Scouts for World Thinking Day, which normally we would have just handled at the administrative office, but they're estimating that they're going to have 75 to 100 participants. And I believe a year or two ago, the board limited, because of COVID, I'm assuming, the number of participants to 50. The language that I found also mentioned something about parties and live music and bands in conjunction with the event that triggered the 50 or less. So we thought we should bring it to the board because they're estimating 75 to 100. As it's Girl Scouts, and they're not going to have a live band or various other attachments. I wasn't sure if the board wanted to just approve the Girl Scouts or if you wanted to adjust the policy or both.
How many parking spaces do we have down there now? Karen, do you remember?
Oh, well over 100.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so parking shouldn't be
Girl
an issue.
Scouts had to come a few in a car.
I'm okay with it. Ladies?
No, I'm not concerned.
Not concerned at all.
Okay. Sounds good.
The Girl Scouts World Thinking Day is a go. We can let them know, and that's June 5th from 2 to 6.
And that's open to the public, right?
Anyone's welcome to, come by and see,
All the thinkings.
yeah, so
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty fun, each girl, each troop, I'm sorry.
All right, it's part of my job.
I-
I'm like Vanna
absolutely.
White, I keep pushing them.
Corinne George, 36 Tamarack Road, Lee, New Hampshire.
Welcome.
We have a variety of troops that optionally sign up to come. They each research a country, and then their job is to learn about that country and teach other girls about it. They all get passports, and then the troop splits in half. Half the troop stays in their booth and teaches the girls about the country, their customs, their outdoor activities, their language, their food, and the other half of the troop goes around to all the embassies and gets their passport stamps and learns about the countries from all the other girls. It's really cool. We've done it for many, many, many years. We haven't done it since the world shut down. Typically, we've done it at Exeter High School. We take up the whole thing with hundreds and hundreds of people, but this year we're doing just our small community to sort of step back into life again. And we like the idea of being outside.
Do you have inclement weather? I don't remember from the forum if you were going.
We are rain or shine.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
A lot of
Lunch
the,
because you went.
yeah, a lot of the troops bring little pop-up tents, so they're kind
Okay.
of combined to that 10 by 10 space.
Okay.
If it's a monsoon, we'll have to rethink, but
Okay.
we're prepared for all. We're Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts.
So.
So
But
how
what-
many, is it, so it's not just Lee then? If there's that many
So
troops?
our community is Circle of Friends, which is Lee, Durham, Madbury, Barrington, Stratford, Nottingham. The majority of our troops are actually Lee. We have a few in Durham and Madbury. And we have in our community 16 troops. Typically, we get about 10 troops to sign up. I have no idea what people are gonna do. It's in June, it's busy. They might not want to. Some of our troops have like 4 girls, some have 10 girls. So it's really hard to estimate the numbers, but anyone from the community is welcome to come by and see what we're doing. And these girls do an amazing job and work for months at creating fabulous embassies. So we welcome people to stop by.
Are you gonna be selling cookies?
No.
No?
My cookie sales ended yesterday. I have 19 troops to figure out their balance sheets by tomorrow at midnight.
I'm sorry.
I know a Girl Scout who sells 12 boxes, just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a girl that was 30, so. No, there's nothing for sale there. The girls just make, there's swaps that they make to put on their uniforms, but
That's cool.
it's just a good old fashioned fun. So thank you for allowing us
Thanks
to
for
have
all your
it.
hard work with the Girl Scouts.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item I had was town office hours, and in looking back through documentation, prior to COVID, the town office had different hours than it has now. As near as I can tell, and confirm this with Denise, the normal weekly hours were 8 to 6 on Monday, and then 8 to 4:30 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 8 to 12:30 on Friday, because Friday had the least use typically in the late afternoon. The Monday extra hours gives people a chance to get to the town clerk or the town office after hours, 1 day a week. In talking with the folks in the building, everybody was generally in favor of returning to the pre-COVID hours, with the exception of Karen, I think, who felt that there was some benefit for the planning and zoning office to be open on Friday due to weekend traffic they get from people coming up
Yes.
out of town. But if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, we mostly deal with contractors during the week, and then on Fridays, if some people take a long weekend, like the homeowners will take a long weekend and come in our office and get things. So spring and summer Fridays are typically busy in our office Friday afternoon, so it would not be beneficial for us.
And people that are paying taxes in the town, they didn't tend to come during that evening, Friday. I always think of people getting ready for the weekend and getting things done now. So.
Friday was, the town clerk's office did not feel that Friday was a particularly busy time. It's not a busy time for our office.
They like having the late hours.
In the past, the town clerk's office stayed open till 4 on Fridays.
Did they?
Yes.
I
Linda?
remember that.
Yep, so the selectman's office closed at 12:30, but the rest of us were open till 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably check that with Linda then and see how that's gonna work for her.
Being open past 4 will be vital, because there's a lot of people that are really struggling to get things done, and I think having a later night would be.
Well, I think having a late night, most of the surrounding towns
Yeah,
have one night
I
where
was-
they're open past 5 o'clock, and I
Yeah.
think that's important to get back to, but.
So really, you have 3 different entities that need to come up with whatever their schedule
The
is.
closest they can be, to me, the least confusing to the town is best, but I think you're right, it's important to have planning and zoning, so then that means you not.
We just keep our regular hours.
Okay.
And we always meet with people after hours if they need it, we're not,
Okay.
whatever they need is fine.
Yeah, and you've thrown me for a loop, because when I talked to Linda, she said nothing about
Yes,
being
she
open till
was,
4 Fridays.
historically, in the long time I worked for the town, she always was open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 4, and then Monday nights until 6.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday, she's always been closed.
Right.
Okay, well, I will touch base
Sorry.
with Linda and come back to that.
But yeah, definitely go for the later.
Under miscellaneous, just a heads up, and it's in the consent agenda, so not a heads up if you don't want to support it, but you have in the past the 10th annual Rockingham Raid bicycle ride, which is a mountain bike oriented group tour of Rockingham and Stratford County that attempts to use dirt roads, wants to pass through Lee on Sunday, June 5th. They estimate that they'll have about 450 riders, and they have talked to the police chief about this. You can speak to it as well. And they did provide me with a certificate of insurance for the event.
Great.
These are the people that go down Campground Road?
Yeah, they come Cartland Road, they try to stay mainly to dirt roads. Arlen Chaffee does a great job organizing it, we've never had an issue. Most times we don't even know they've done it, because by the time they get here, they're so spread out. It's just a normal
That's great.
day of biking.
It's so nice to be able to do a big ride like that,
Yeah.
it's really.
They go down Demerit, don't they?
Yep.
As well?
Yep.
Because there's usually a sign that says wrong way or something.
Yeah, he does very good with the signage, he does a very good job organizing it, and we've never had an issue from day one.
That's excellent.
Sounds fine.
Love supporting that.
It's in the consent agenda, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And the last miscellaneous thing I had was we've received the baseball field sign that the Sarno family had asked us to put up. The easiest way to put this sign up is to attach it to a building. There is no particularly good building near the baseball field. There's Oyster River Youth Association has a shack that's got some vandalism on it, and got some holes in it. The walls aren't that thick. A couple of other options would be to attach it to chain link fence, and you could do that. Probably the best place to do it would be the foul pole in the left field section of the fence, because it's very near the path as you walk into the field. And you could attach it with, they make specific secure blocking attachments to put signs on chain link fence. The other option that might be easier and also might provide more visibility would be where the path leaves the parking lot. There is a low, thick wooden guardrail. I think you could put the sign on a post, either in the ground, probably in the ground, and attached to the guardrail at the corner, right where the path leaves to go to the field. And that might serve a couple of purposes. One, if you're not familiar with the baseball team, a team from out of town, that sort of thing, there's no indication that that path actually leads to the baseball field that's all the way in the back of the park. And also, if you put it there, more people would see it, certainly. If you put it on the baseball diamond, that is 250 yards back around the corner, so anyone playing baseball would see it. But if you put it near the path in the parking lot, I think you'd get better visibility, and it might actually help lead people to the baseball field. But
I peeked at it, it's a beautiful sign. I did a really nice job.
So what do you think?
I think close, I'd say, in front of the path, so people know where to go. I love that idea. And a nice post.
Okay.
I think by utilizing the guardrail fence, that's very thick timber, very solid, that we could put a good post in there without having to use concrete or
Great.
do a lot of excavation, that sort of thing.
Okay.
As long as it's not easy to be vandalized or.
And if you change your mind after seeing it, there's nothing to say that we can't
Can you
detach it.
send out picture of it? Maybe in
Yes.
the e-crier or something like that?
Oh, that's
to
a
say,
great idea, yeah.
You know,
Let
we
people
put
know
up
it.
this sign to acknowledge, you know.
Do you wanna do that when it's on the post, or do you wanna do it?
Well, that's okay. I just think it should be in there someplace.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Shouldn't we have like a little moment?
Can I-
of it?
After it's, thanks.
Yeah, after
After it's there.
Yeah.
Can I bring up something just that you brought up? I'm thinking in terms of logistics. You know, for baseball games, one of the things, and I'm not sure if they planned it originally, but if you're going there to watch the baseball game, you either have to bring a chair.
Mhm.
Some places have bleachers.
Mm.
So that place cries for something maybe into the hill there,
Mhm.
maybe set back.
I think the rec
It-
committee
it-
asked
it
for
is-
some funding and wasn't provided.
Could different people have different answers. Maybe could I ask, well, who's on, you're still on it, right? Who's on the rec
We
commission?
You just maybe.
Can you ask the rec commission if they would be amenable to developing some kind of seating arrangement for the baseball field, so that when people come to watch the games, they have someplace to sit and watch their kids play?
Something to look into, yeah.
It's a safety thing too. I know I coached baseball and softball for quite a while in town, and when you don't have adequate bleachers, people sit down the sideline,
Yeah.
past the fence, and
Mm.
catch line drives in the laps and faces on the sides of the head regularly.
So maybe if they can come up with what that, because I know one of the things we need to look at is in terms of there's still some ARPA money left over.
Yeah.
Maybe this, and there's some coming in again, so if we can maybe use some of that for that.
Would
Just a
there,
thought.
would the bleachers be good for any other sport down there as well, that people could watch, or is it just for
Mm.
baseball?
I don't know if you could move them, but
No, I
You
just
can
mean,
certainly
can you
get
see other
aluminum
things?
portable bleachers that are fairly secure. You
I'm just
basically
thinking-
stake them down, but you could move them.
Well,
okay. Well,
I'm mostly just thinking if you can see something else, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
so maybe the rec commission take a look at that.
Do we have a budget?
Yeah, I think we'd have to do some investigation.
In terms of how much they cost and, you know, what?
We have no budget.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We have no budget, but.
We
need
had
to
so
know
many
how much
things we
they are.
wanted to do with the rec commission, and no budget was put forth, especially for activities or anything like that, so
Well, it's just a thought. It's just,
an estimate would be great.
Just while you're on the subject, if I could throw out, I went to look at the various sites we might put the pictures, and saw some very frustrated tennis players chasing their balls around because the tennis court is not fenced.
You could spend a lot of money on that committee.
But if you're looking for ARPA money, or you're going to fundraise for the
That
park.
fundraiser looking really good for the,
No hockey rink.
well, if the rec commission wants to look at it. Because I
this
think
is one of
one,
those things where you could tell them, here's some things that we want to do, can you look into these things?
Yeah. well, also in terms of also fundraising for things like that kind of stuff, so. But I think if we can donate how much it costs, then at least we can put it on a list someplace so we know, you know, oh geez, we have some money that we can go toward recreation, what could we do?
Mhm.
I know another thing they have on there is in terms of redoing the tennis court kind of thing, so,
Right, FPT.
so.
I can certainly track down some estimates for bleachers, and I'll get those to Rebecca.
Yeah. Even if it's a ballpark, like they cost this to this.
For-
Yeah, I just would hate for them to expand energy to think about it, and then
Yep.
us be like, sorry, too much money.
Well, don't spend 50 hours doing it, you know, a couple hours. Uh-oh.
UNH took down all their fencing and they're rebuilding their tennis courts.
Mm.
I can't imagine they're gonna put used fence back up.
Oh.
Maybe that's
Can we
kicking
reach
around
out?
over there somewhere.
Andy, could you do that?
I'll
I
see.
think we have a new member for the rec commission.
I know, look at that.
UNH tennis court.
Anybody have any old bleachers that we need?
Middle school didn't have bleachers, they didn't do.
Yeah, what did middle school do with their bleachers?
I don't know, did they have any?
You know?
The high school just put in, a couple years ago, just put all new bleachers in their turf field, so you could talk to them about the vendors they use and get some resources. I mean, they're pretty big bleachers, because they're for the turf field, but they probably
Find
did a
out.
lot of research already.
Good point.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Ingram?
I have nothing else under regular business.
Consent agenda, I move to accept the consent agenda, oh, this is one of the things, if there's anything you want to take out, okay, just, I'm going to say it before. So I move to accept the consent agenda as presented, do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? No, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Oh, I get to move up, don't I?
Get it back, pull it out.
It's what?
I was gonna find my actual pen,
Oh.
my iPad pen.
Oh, yeah, the iPad pen does not work well.
No.
I've tried that many times.
This red.
Oh my goodness.
All my pens are great.
You just very much want the top line.
Okay. So don't steal.
No.
They're very sensitive about where signing happens, so.
Yes, and that is Katrina's signature if you want to, you know.
Have you seen?
Have you?
Yeah, it's not a signature.
She's good. All right, so this is, okay, got it. Print type name of select. Today's the 20th? 21st. Beautiful, look at that, technology committee going. Town is hopping. Did we pick someone to be on the technology committee that we're now signing into?
Did we what?
To pick somebody to be,
We didn't.
We've done that yet.
all right, we should figure out when they're meeting in Austin. Rebecca, do you have any instructions? About your free time, you know. I'll just say this, the one person who would not be in the technology meeting would be me. That would be like, not a good idea. Pick a different committee. Like, anything else.
Anything but technology.
I'm terrible, I mean,
Hopes are bad.
it's $5,000.
No, let's go back. Oh, we haven't done this yet.
Oh, that's the technology committee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't done that yet.
I did, that version represents the charge that I presented at the last meeting with the editorial changes that the board asked for.
So that's under old business, so municipal advisory IT committee charge. Are we okay with it? I assume since you both signed it, so.
Yeah, we got excited.
Oh, you were on a roll.
There.
If I could mention, I've had several emails from folks on other committees,
Yep.
some of them folks that were interested in the technology committee, wondering if the board could sort of issue a directive to include aggregation of committee and subcommittee email addresses and also electronically stored information that various committees have. And, I said that I would pass that on to the board.
And we're gonna hopefully host this on a server that we're getting from the police department, is that correct?
There was some discussion of this, yes.
Thanks.
We're just waiting for Steve to get the information on the new one.
Perfect.
I think he's been working with Dean Rubine.
Oh, great,
Two of them have
okay,
been talking,
perfect,
so.
great.
One of the things I would hope that's not in here, I don't know, maybe we should include it, or just as a directive to them, that they need to speak to each of the departments and the committees and commissions to see what their particular needs are. I
Can I
think
make a suggestion about that?
Mhm.
One thing that happens is we often have a lot of people on a committee and then they all reach out to the department head and it gets really busy and then that person spends a lot of time. So I would love it if we could make sure that there's a communication, a person who's in charge of that communication, so that all the questions come together, they can ask them. It just makes it easier, I think, for department heads to.
Well, I would hope it would be the chairperson of the particular group.
Yep.
But they should touch base with those particular departments and committees and commissions to find out what their particular needs are.
Perfect.
This was
Those-
pretty broad in nature. I used all municipal entities.
Perfect.
Nope, sounds fine.
I'm excited.
Anything else under old business?
I have nothing further on the commercial use of town parks. Waiting for a final answer from David Witham at Primex as in regard to what they think we should do moving forward liability-wise.
Okay. Chief?
I just wanted to update the board that on Monday, they'll be here to install the Plymouth vent system.
Oh, okay.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. You know what that is?
That's it.
How about if you give us a brief overview for us that
So-
don't remember, how about?
Yep, so currently, right now, when we start the fire trucks, when they built the building, they put a fan in the wall that has a CO meter. I've never seen it turn on in,
All the years.
yeah, the 18 years that this building's been here, 19. So when the fire trucks start, that's when, you know, it puts out the most chemicals out of the exhaust. So they have a Plymouth vent system that is triggered by the pressure from the exhaust. It's a tube that gets put onto the exhaust pipe. And so when the pressure changes, it turns a fan on that's gonna be on the far side of the lean-to, away from everything else. That kicks on, takes all the exhaust and puts it outside. And then the fire truck drives right out the door. And when you hit a certain spot, it'll actually pull off the truck and we can continue going. And then we'll have a policy, so when we get back to the station, we'll pull up to the bay outside, get out of the vehicle, plug that back in, and then back in. It also allows us to do a lot of work on the fire trucks when we have inclement weather, and we can run them inside because the system will kick on. A lot of the departments, Durham just got one recently, and a lot of the departments have had them for a while, and they've been a great system, so.
Our insurance company, Primex, heartily recommends these systems, and when they do safety checks of your facilities, that's one of the first things they'll pull if you don't have an adequate exhaust system.
Yeah, to be sitting there and all that.
Yeah, we're breathing it,
It's
and then the, all of our gear is in the bay, so all the diesel fumes are just getting soaked into our gear, so that's something else further down the road that I'd like to look at, is building a room for our gear, so it's just not out in the open like that.
But now it won't be getting diesel soaked into it, correct?
Correct.
Awesome.
Andy, can we ask, I know the chief just kind of gave us an update, but can we get an update on all the other projects that we authorized under ARPA funds?
Yep.
Just so the board has an understanding in terms of what has been done, what is yet to be done, and what the status is of those particular projects.
I think we also need to meet again to discuss what to do with the upcoming ARPA funds and also the financial planning too.
Okay.
And the electrical cost for the Plymouth vent system, we got quoted for that, the board said not to exceed $4,000, and we got the quote for $2,100.
Great,
Well,
I
So there
like
should be
that.
some funds left of that too.
So, more money than we have to kind of,
Excuse me, that we
I'll find places.
okay, you'll
I'll
find.
figure things
Yeah, no, we're good, we have lots of ideas.
But I'm here for you.
So that's the other thing.
Thanks for saving money.
Andy, if you could, I don't know who's keeping track of that, but you or Joanne, because we allocated some of the money, there was some left over, and then we've had updates that we're not using all the money that we allocated. So if you can find out how much that is, so we can kind of move on some other things.
I do have that, it's just sitting on my desk.
Okay.
Liz got it for me because I have to do an ARPA update report this week, so
Oh, perfect, that's great timing.
working with Joanne on that.
Excellent. Now, is Joanne back, or is she still out?
She is not.
Okay.
She is not anticipating coming back until after she hopes to be there for the first week of April, so
Okay.
we're close, but.
Thanks for all your help to make all that work, everyone
Yeah.
that's.
And she's been working very effectively from home. Both Liz and I have made shuttle runs with boxes of paperwork over and back, and we've made good use of the scanner as well.
Teamwork.
Some things just don't scan very well.
Yeah.
All right, anything else under old business? Nope. Item number 7, geez, we went to 8 this time, my goodness. I move to enter non-public session, New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, sections A, C, and L. Do I have a second?
Just before we do that, while we have Mr. Tappan here, can we discuss the possibility of having a meeting sometime for the financial planning tool? That would be separate from a regular flexibility meeting, so she can go through all the
I'm in
data.
the middle of the motion.
I know, but I'm stopping the motion because I don't want.
You're stopping my motion?
She's gonna deny it, so.
I'm stopping the motion, yeah, mid-motion.
All right.
So is that an option? Just because that's gonna affect all the other choices we're gonna
I'm
make.
still hostile about my motion.
I'm gonna be fine with that. You go ahead and be hostile. I did mention it earlier,
Sure.
and you didn't get noticed,
If you
so.
want to.
All right. our options? I know in the past we've done it on alternating Wednesdays.
What's your schedule, Rebecca? What are you,
I can't do next one.
In general, Tuesdays is really the bad day, but other days, Mondays are fine. The alternating Mondays that we're not here, it all depends on the week.
What about
well,
next week?
it's the 28th?
Yeah. Mr. Tappan, is that a day you're available?
I believe so. What time are you thinking?
Does 5 o'clock work for you? 6, what's best?
6, yeah, I don't know that I can get here by 5,
Okay,
that would be
6
kind of
for
rough
you.
those.
6?
6 is fine.
All right. Is that okay with
Can
you?
you do 6?
Yep.
All right,
6 PM on the 28th.
here.
FBT.
Have they given you the initial planning to information?
Where does that live? Does it live in your, just on your computer?
Yeah, so
It's going to.
Computers, yes.
can I ask
So-
that maybe you and Rebecca can have a conversation and you can
Sure.
share the stuff
Yeah.
that, okay? Because there's an awful lot of information.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of the meetings, but I've not actually seen it. It's hard to see in the
Yeah.
recordings.
Yes. But she has been updating herself.
Do my best.
Mhm.
That's good. Okay.
Now I'm gonna let you motion all the way.
I don't know if I want to
All
now.
right, well, fine.
Okay, maybe. Well then.
I moved to enter into, it was better the first time.
I know,
No.
I'm sorry.
I moved to enter into non-public session, New Hampshire RSA 91-A, Roman numeral 2, sections A, C, and L. Do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Rebecca.
you're welcome.
Any discussion? No. Roll call vote, Katrin Casper.
Yes.
Rebecca Hawthorne.
Yes.
Scott Buckley, yes. Motion passes.
Could I ask the board to consider meeting with Aaron Rossi first?
Sure.
Under L?
Yep.
Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Thank you.
We should get some blankets for when we test it out here.
Like,
Is it a big oak door?
it's the building door, but I don't know if it's the
Oh.
air
I'll,
thing, but like, I
yeah.
go and I kind of feel like, please.
And a hot water.
Are you just an assistant come and open doors for you or
Yes,
something?
yes, they're gonna definitely hire
Motion to
us
seal the
to open
minutes.
the doors.
I have a motion to seal the non-public meeting minutes.
Seconded.
I know you did. Oh, vote. No, just aye.
No, you're doing it, go ahead.
Well,
You're taking my job. I'm gonna be unemployed.
You were chatting.
I have to chat.
Katrin Casper, yes.
Do you want Rebecca Hawthorne? Yes.
I'm gonna let you just say your names.
Scott Buckley, yes. Okay, motion passes.
Motion passes.
Minutes will be sealed.
I move to adjourn. Do I have a
I
second?
thought you just got to close the meeting.
I don't do Mr. Brown.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Brown had a unique
He
clause.
did, he did. I second the motion to
Second,
adjourn the
and
meeting.
it's not debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion
Not
passes.
debatable.